Good morning, Eddie. I'm sure because of the schedule and the lack of time between matches, there isn't a lot of time to dwell on things following Manchester City. Just looking forward now, how important do you think the next week is in the Premier League as you try to improve your position? Spurs away, but firstly, Brentford at home.
Yeah, big week coming up. Focus back onto the Premier League. We need real focus now on these next two games, as you say. Brentford at home, Tottenham away. Two really good games. Games that we look forward to. But being back at home after several away games is more than welcome. So this will be a nice feeling for us on Saturday.
You lost Anthony Gordon to a hamstring problem the other night. Do you have an update on him and whether he'll be in your squad this weekend?
Yeah, no major update on Anthony. I think he probably every chance he'll miss this game coming up at the weekend. But we hope it's not a serious injury and he'll be back pretty soon.
And you've been without Bruno for a few matches now. Is there any prospect of him being fit and available for Brentford?
Getting closer. Did a training session, I believe, on Wednesday when we were travelling. Felt pretty good. So I'll see him today and, yeah, fingers crossed he'll be fit.
Thank you. Keith?
How's Lewis Miley, Eddie?
Find out today, really, Keith. I'm waiting on an update on him. Again, not a serious injury. I hope he'll be back pretty soon.
You said something interesting after the game against City during the week, where you said that what we need to do now is we need to protect the confidence of the players moving forward. Do you think in the last few weeks he's going to be taking a hit a little bit?
Yeah, I think naturally sometimes you can lose focus on the games that we've had. I mean, Paris, Liverpool and Manchester City away for any team is away from home as well. All games being away in a really short period of time. That's back off a 3-game, 6-day week. So the lads going into those games not actually in the best physical condition, quite fatigued. I think for any team that's going to be difficult. And in watching those games, the scorelines look pretty bad, but I think the games were very different. All of them could have been different scorelines. So that's why I say we have to acknowledge that and we have to protect the confidence of the players, because then if you carry that baggage into the next game, it can be even more difficult. So need the players to play these games with clear heads and feeling good about themselves.
When we talk about games like Liverpool away, City away, PSG being huge, but I guess Brentford at home Saturday afternoon, your bread and butter, when you look at them in the table a few points above you, these are actually just as important, if not more. They're kind of must-win games, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, every game's a must-win game, but yeah, I get your point. There's no easy games in the Premier League, as we've always said, and Brentford this year away from home have been really strong. I watched their game recently against Aston Villa, against Chelsea. They're really competitive, as we found out from the first game against them earlier in the season. Very clear strengths. I think they've done really well this season to bounce back from some big departures in their squad, and they look even stronger for it.
Thank you. Andy?
Well, Eddie, like you say, it's been a kind of tough week for Newcastle. How difficult have you found it personally, if not necessarily the performances, just those scorelines in the last two games?
Yeah, I think losing is such a difficult feeling. You have to deal with the defeat. You have to put it where you need to put it. You have to learn from it. You have to evolve from every disappointment and setback. So we're sort of trying to do that in a really quick turnaround, while acknowledging the strengths of the performance and also the areas that we need to improve. So you're doing that in a fast forward from a normal season when you're Saturday to Saturday. But I think the main thing is the players entering the new game, the next game, in a positive frame of mind. That's so important, and so then how we deal with each defeat that we've had in the last week has been crucial to our success coming forward.
You talk about confidence there. For Nick Voltemade, no goals in 12 appearances now. How are you managing him? Because I think it's easy to forget, isn't it, that he's still a young lad. It's still a new league for him. He got off to such a fantastic start, but there was always likely to be a little bit of a lull for him. How are you managing him at the moment?
Yeah, I agree with the question and the sentiment behind the question. I think there's some really good points in there. I think he is young, new league. I think he started so well, everyone expected that to continue. I think that's very difficult to do, of as much as we wanted that to happen for him. He's getting to grips with the challenges of the Premier League, the speed, the intensity, the physicality. And of course, teams are getting to know him as well. And I think that's the biggest challenge for him, is teams understand his game and what he wants to do, he has to find solutions the other way. So you have to keep ahead of all the other teams. So there's work for him to do, but I think he's done everything with such a great attitude and a great way that's the biggest thing that means for me that he will continue to be successful.
Just finally, on Brentford, was the away game down there one of the lowest points of the season for you? And what did you kind of learn about a Keith Andrews side down there, like you referenced before, who's done so well at Brentford considering the outgoings?
Yeah, it was a frustrating day for us because first half we felt we did a lot right, and a few other games have followed a similar trajectory, really. We'd worked really hard to get ourselves in front. And then a goal against us seemed to rock us and knock us in that moment, and we didn't recover in the game fully. So it's a frustrating one because we felt, obviously, the momentum was with us in that first half, and if we'd carried that through, it would have been a great away win. But we haven't done that well enough when we've cost ourselves points from positions where we should have consolidated.
Thanks, Andy. Adam?
Morning, Eddie.
Morning.
Sticking with the theme of confidence, Anthony Elanga scored his first goal, and also offensively and defensively has been a bright spark. Are you starting to see signs of a player that you thought you bought in the summer?
Yeah, I think we've always seen that. I've said many times, you put the highlights of his performances together since he's been with us. I think you'd see a player that's obviously dynamic and quick and really direct. But he's done a load of good things that could have led to goals. But I was just really pleased that he got that reward of the goal, and it was a great goal as well. And then there was no sign of danger really when he received the ball. He darts inside two players and curls a brilliant left-footed finish. Delighted for him. Hopefully that's the start of many. And a lift in his belief in himself and what he can contribute. There's no doubting his ability. So yeah, really good thing for him.
And just with regards to your opponents in the reverse fixture, Igor Thiago scored twice. When coming into the season, would you have had him pegged as one of the league's top scorers, especially given the struggles of strikers across the league at the moment?
Well, I think he had a serious injury the season before, which was obviously a big disappointment for him, and full credit to him that he's been able to respond to that and come into a new league and do so well. He's been very impressive, actually. He was impressive against us. He's been impressive in several other games. He's got a good mix of strength, height and speed. So he's someone we're going to have to defend well against.
Thank you. What did Damien then to Gary, please?
Morning, Eddie. Eddie, I know that the schedule's been brutal and you like to work with a tight squad, but do you feel that the squad is big enough and deep enough to compete on four fronts as you have been doing?
I think it all depends on injuries, Damien. With a full bill of health, the squad is more than strong enough. With one or two injuries, I still think it's strong enough. But I think if you get 4 or 5 injuries in one position, then possibly not. But I think it's a really difficult thing to manage, because if you have too big a squad, I think you have problems the other way. If you have too thin a squad, you have problems the other way. It's getting that balance right. Start of the season, I really liked the look of the team, the squad. I think it had a really good feel to it. Of course, through the season, we've had different blows and players missing and key players missing. None more so in the last few weeks, really, where our midfield, has been hit, and of course our backline's been hit for a long time now, and that's probably been the biggest concern for us.
Thank you, Gary.
Morning, Eddie. Given the playing Brentford is all club, you all must be excited to, hopefully be facing him. How do you feel he's done? But given his injury and everything, will it be next season before we see the best of him here? Or are you still confident that he can enjoy, make a big impact in the running?
Yeah, I'm hopeful that he can find his best form as we go through the season. I think he'll continue to get better and better physically. Unfortunately, there's no magic wand to sort of his physical condition, because I think when he came to us, he hadn't trained regularly anyway. Then he picks up a serious knee injury, and he's starting again then in a hurry to get fit for his new team, of course, desperate to play, desperate to impress, desperate to give back, and he's sort of chasing that fitness, and he is fit and he's fine, so there's no issues with his injury. It's just his match sharpness and the things you take for granted when you're fully fit sometimes can be hard to re-find as quickly as you want to. So there's no doubting his quality, his goal scoring abilities and his instincts are still there. It's just getting that last bit of sharpness in his game, which I think will come through time. And again, there's no magic wand to it.
Thanks, Gary. What's a Lee, Luke and Charlie, please? Lee?
Eddie, there was obviously some talk earlier in the week from David about winning the league by 2030. It's hard to put a time scale on winning the league. I mean, Leicester won it without anyone expecting it. I think nobody expected Liverpool probably to win it in Slot's first season. Where do you see that, and where do you see the project overall from your point of view as manager? Do you feel it's sort of in the middle part of where you want to take this club?
It's a difficult one for me to answer. Timelines of and estimations on things, I think it's very difficult to give when you're the manager, because I don't know quite what's going to happen next week, yet alone in 4 years' time. So I think all I try to do is improve the players that I'm working with, try to make them better players every day. Of course, every transfer window, we hope that the club can improve the squad. So you have the sort of the coaching aspects of the players you have, and then of course the players you recruit are so important. And then we see where that takes us. And I think it's very difficult for me to sort of give a response to timelines. I don't think that's right.
Well, you would say that from your point of view, it's probably mid-term for you in your reign as manager.
Well, who knows? As I say, I always say, I don't know. I don't know. You know, my length of time here, I've got no idea. I just try to do my best every day until told differently.
Charlie?
Morning, Eddie. I know you're not one for social media, but it was quite heated on there on Wednesday night after the game. I think, especially given what happened in the transfer window and everything, what would your message be to those fans who perhaps lost a little bit of faith in where the season's going?
Yeah, well, I'm pleased I'm not on social media. If it's heated, my message is that we're fighting, and I think you can see that on the pitch. The players are giving everything every 2, 3, 4 days to try and be successful. And I think, the Wednesday was disappointing. You know, we wanted to give it a really good fight, really good effort to try and get into the final. Players were hugely motivated, and then we concede early in the game, and the game becomes very difficult. But credit to the players for the response in the second half, and the fact we were still going, still trying to score, still creating chances right through the game. And now we've got to do it again, and there's no break for us. So I can assure you the players are maxed out physically, mentally, and we obviously see them behind the scenes. And that will be the same for the staff. We're all trying for success. Doesn't always go in a straight line. There'll be bumps in the road, and as there has been this season, it's been a really challenging season on many different fronts. But we'll give our all to get a positive outcome.
There's been some talk this week in the aftermath of that Man City game that you could step down in the summer. It's speculation. It's just people hypothesising what could happen. What would be your response to that?
That's a surprise to me. As I said to the question earlier, I'll give my best every day to the football club, to all the players, to the staff. Try and be the best version of myself to inspire the team to win games, and that's the only things in my thought. I don't tend to look too far ahead, and I have done. I'll try and prepare and plan for the club to move forward in every sense. My individual future's not really relevant.
You've played Lee. You've played 38 games this season already. That's a full Premier League season. That is part of the evolution of turning into a successful club, is you have to be able to handle that level of games. Do you think you're still adjusting to that?
Possibly. I don't know quite when you pass that test and what the gauge is, but possibly as a football club we're still adjusting to that and becoming better at certain things, and that evolution will continue, I'm sure, throughout time. I think this has been an unprecedented amount of games, if I can say that properly, just because of our length of time in the Carabao Cup, the Champions League qualification playoff that we have to go through. So there's extra burden on us, a burden that we've created ourselves by trying to go deep into various competitions and give our best in every moment. We sort of won't get much praise for that, but I think that in part has then impacted maybe some of the performances, haven't been as clear and as sharp as we want them to be. But it's in the pursuit of excellence, and it's in the pursuit of trying to win a competition and a trophy for the club.
Thank you. Thanks, Luke. Got a Dom and then to Scott, please.
Morning, Eddie. You touched on Nick Voltemade before, and you've spoken previously about him potentially benefiting from the competition with Johan Wissa and the added rotation option up front. But obviously, since Johan Wissa's returned from injury, he scored just one in one of his last 18 games. So what's the issue there in terms of just both strikers being effective for your side?
Yeah, I don't think it's to do with both strikers. It's to do with the strikers individually. Nick can only control himself and what he does and how he plays within the team. And if he's playing with Johan, obviously that will have an effect. But if Johan's not on the pitch, that's nothing to do with him, and vice versa.
Scott to finish, please.
Hi, Eddie. We've talked about Johan and Nick and Anthony there. I just wonder how you reflect on the kind of summer transfer window now that we're at this stage of the season, because I think people would accept that it was a really difficult summer for Newcastle, obviously, with Alex leaving and all of that, the need to replace. But then on the flip side, a club with PSR issues spent about 200 million on 4 players who haven't necessarily been able to hit the ground running as maybe you would have wanted. How do you reflect on the summer?
Yeah, I think fair question. I always say with transfer windows, I think it's a better reflection in time, because even short-term players can do well, but it's time that will be the judge. So I don't know the exact time on that, to be honest, of when that becomes a fully sort of justifiable analysis. But for me, it's too early to make strong conclusions from that transfer window. At this moment in time, I'd probably say let's see where we are at the end of the season, and then even still, probably 6 months into next season, I think you'll have a clearer idea, because you can look back at Lewis Hall's transfer and go, well, that didn't work initially, but for me that was always a long-term signing. And various other players that we've signed throughout the years, Anthony Gordon took time to become the player that he is now. So I think patience is needed, although it's a rare commodity these days with transfers. And I understand with the outlay, people will go, you shouldn't need patience and understanding. But I'd say with most transfers these days, I think there has to be an element of that.